listening to like a 22-year-old girl try to explain something and be like, do you fucking realize what the universe is and how infinite we are? We're all the fucking same. We're stardust. She heard the same shit from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He'd be like, if we are all the same, if we are among the same stardust and we're made of the same particles, then maybe, just maybe, is it possible that vaginas are just a wormhole from another universe?
God bless this life that we live in.
Hello.
We
Is this thing
divided,
on?
my
My Gnocchis. What's up? Episode 4, the TRP, the Realest Podcast. Welcome back. If you have not been here before, then welcome. You can't come back to something that you've never been. Unless, it's like Interstellar or something. You're on the other side of the wall, and I can't see you. You're knocking over books and some shit, trying to get my attention. But, when you think about the plot of Interstellar, could he have really even been there if he didn't make the choice to come back? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, first of all, I don't really know what I'm talking about either. But in the story, he goes off the mission to another planet, whatever. They're trying to get through this wormhole, and then at the end, he's upset. Spoiler alert. He's upset, and he's trying to tell his daughter, like, don't let me leave. And he goes back in the past, but he couldn't have gone and done that. Told her not to let him leave if he never left. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what's going on this week? There's been a lot going on. I'm trying to get this off. I'm trying to navigate right now. Bang this podcast out pretty quickly in the span of roommates coming and going, and hopefully nobody makes too much noise. But I just got to do it. Sometimes you just got to record it. The circumstances aren't always the best, so you just got to roll with it. But let's do this. So if you watched last week's episode, which was the third one, which if you didn't, what were you thinking? Get your shit together. So go back, listen to that one first, and then come back here and also subscribe and leave a review on iTunes and all that. If you don't, what a fucking nightmare. Okay. So come back. But last week I talked about, it was like a really quick episode. Last week was really hectic for me. So last week I was talking about, something else, but basically I explained that I had something planned, and then last minute I went off range. I went off course, and I was like, fuck this. I want to speak from my heart. And that was a really cool episode. I really like that. But this one should be a little bit longer. Who knows? We'll see. So how do I start this one? Basically, 2 weeks ago, if this was last week, it would have been a couple of days before that. I was having a whole bunch of technological issues. Okay. I was having issues with the podcast, with my computer. It's outdated. It's slow as fuck. And, that's unfortunate. So I was trying to upgrade it, but in the process of getting some of these podcasts out, exporting the files, it's taking not only forever, but I had multiple times it would crash on me. And I was losing my shit because I don't like when stuff that happens. I feel like the thing I struggle with the most is I can handle myself if there's somebody in my face and they're yelling at me. If it's a human and they come up to me and they're like, I don't like you, cracker. I can just be like, okay, man, how do we fix this? What can I do to help you? Help me help you. We'll figure it out. I'm the typical kind of white guy like that, But if it's technology and it's I feel like it's out of my control, it's the reason why I don't bet on shit, because if I bet on things and I lose, I fucking hate it. But if I bet on myself in a pickup game or thumb wrestling or some stupid shit, I can only be mad at myself. And then I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't perform well and you suck. So I don't usually bet on stuff that I don't have control over. And I think that's what I have to work on the most as far as my anger issues. I get really upset with technology, man. My roommates, I think, laugh at me, or they're probably frustrated as fuck because they just hear me being like, what the fuck? Every 2 seconds if I'm having an issue, Premiere Pro. Get it together, Premiere Pro. Things I say very often. but it's more like fucking ass, bitch, cock. You know, I make up 4-letter words because I'm like my father. If you don't know my dad, you should. Great man. He's got some anger issues. But it's the same thing. Like, I get frustrated sometimes over little shit, and it's the technology that always gets me. And I was just like having some issues with this stuff and then the phone. And I was stressed. Also, I wrote a whole bunch of shit. I spent a lot of time writing on my phone. I was feeling inspired, so I was like in airplane mode, writing a whole bunch of shit on my phone with an app I use called Wunderlist, right? And technological mishap, whatever happened, I lost all of the information. I wrote for like 2 hours and lost all of it. And I'm not like I'm spiritual, okay? I believe in some things. I don't rule anything out. I think that there's a lot of shit that we can't tell. We don't have the logistical set of hardware to figure some shit out, you know, or really understand in this life. And so when people say that, why does my brain suck today? When people say that, what's that thing called? Mercury retrograde. And they're like, oh, Mercury's in retrograde. Yeah, but I don't try to always buy into that. I'm not denying it. There's probably a lot of truth to it. But at the same time, the more you believe in it, I feel like the more it's going to affect you, or the more you think and focus on it. So usually I'm not like Mercury's in retrograde kind of guy. But this was like the first time all this shit was happening in the span of like 2 days, and nothing seemed to be going right, all having to do with technology. And I was like, motherfucking Mercury retrograde. Mercury must be in that retrograding. And so that was frustrating. And so I have this kind of routine. If things aren't going well, I have kind of a routine that snaps myself out of it. Usually, sometimes I'll journal and I'll write. Sometimes I just need to go for a walk. And sometimes I just need to breathe. You know, connect both sides of my brain with box breathing. A lot of times it's like I just need to do some hard shit and I need to sweat it out and I need to get all these brain chemicals going. So I either like go and work out pretty hard, or I just go to the sauna. So that's what I did during this time. I went to the sauna, and then after the sauna, doing like hot and cold back and forth, come out feeling high. I've talked about this before because I don't shut the fuck up about it. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of the most profound things that can happen in my life, and I feel like most people should be doing it. It's a good state change. And so I got out of the sauna. I was walking home, trying to be present. And I realized I was so, like, the moment was so profound. Just walking through Hollywood, thinking about where I am in my life, the goals I'm pursuing, and all of that kind of stuff. I was just thinking about all of that. And I realized, like, how much, I need to change my attitude around technology, and obviously need to deal with some shit. Okay? I need to deal with things a little bit better than I do. But also, if I was thinking about my everyday to-day life, I'm attached to technology. And I think a lot of us are really attached to technology. And that could be okay if you deal with it right. But I think that there's a lot of like issues that can come from it. And that's definitely the case for me. So I, just personal reasons, I'm always like on my phone. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm like calling people and texting people. And then there's like social media for personal, but then there's all of the social media stuff that I do for my career. And then, I'm shooting, and I have a camera, and the camera has Wi-Fi and I think Bluetooth also. And your phone has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth also. And you can't shut that shit off unless you actually go in and manually do it. And then for some reason or somehow they find a way to activate that shit and turn it back on, which is annoying. Apple, figure your shit out. And then you're just walking around, and I live in a big city, and there's just like this everything, EMF all over the place, bright lights. Light is a form of technically it's EMF, especially poor light. We can get into it. I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to talk about EMFs because I think this is really important. And I wanted to talk about EMFs, like I said, last week for last week's episode. And I didn't, and I'm not the person that's like, everything happens for a reason. I think that's the only choice that you have to make mentally It makes sense to be like, everything happens for a reason. Because what other choice do you have? You're going to be miserable? You know, you have to look at things on the bright side and the positive side and always find the good. Is it easy? No. Do I do it all the time? No. Sometimes I'm pretty good at that, you know. So I'm not always that type of person that's like, everything happens for a reason, but also I think everything happened for a reason this time. So I didn't talk about the EMFs like I wanted to. And like 2 days later, after recording the podcast, I got invited to an event by my friend Luke Storey, who is a fellow health freak biohacker. I help him with behind the scenes of his podcast a lot. He wanted me to come out to this event that he was having at Soho House in Malibu, and he wanted me to help him. Long story short, he didn't need help. He put me on the guest list anyway. I went, and most of his talk was about EMF, which I already had a basis of. I already have a strong foundational awareness of it. I already care about it enough to the point where I wear this Oura ring to track all my data and sleep and stuff like that. And I fucking hate Apple Watches and Fitbits and anything that is not permanently, but it's always on you all the time with a signal. There's always a airplane, or there's always like a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signal attached to it, right? So I don't like that. I can leave my Oura ring plug, kind of, not getting paid for it, but I love the people. Shout out to Harpreet and Sarah, because they're awesome people, and you should support Oura ring. Not getting paid again, I swear. I can keep this in airplane mode, and it tracks my sleep data for as long as obviously the battery's going, but for a very long time, and I can track my heart rate. I can see how well I sleep. I can do blah, 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 blah. I want to talk about the Oura ring a lot at some point, but eventually that's another podcast completely. I can go down that road. But I can keep it in airplane mode. I don't have a signal attached to me all the time like you do with some of these other things. And so I love that aspect about it, because we are just surrounded by EMF. And I have this background knowledge. Like I said, I avoid that kind of stuff. If my phone's in my pocket, like if I'm not absolutely using it and I can be on airplane mode, I'm on airplane mode. You know, that's the reason I got like all these lights, this red light, and it's dark in this setup, because I don't like harsh, terrible artificial blue light from LEDs and shit that have like a terrible flicker rate. We'll get into that as well. I don't like that shit. I don't like it. Okay. So I was already aware of a lot of that, but I learned a ton of shit listening to Luke talk. It was a rad thing. And then like 3 days later, Luke, who just moved to a new place in Laurel Canyon. Oh my God. First of all, goals. Fucking place was good goals. Beautiful, beautiful spot. But Luke brought in a building biologist. And that's a person that comes in and tells you everything that's fucking wrong with your house, basically. His goal as a building biologist is to make your house the most native possible, like the most natural state. If like industrialization didn't happen, like how would we live? But also we have to live in this world somehow. So the building biologist kind of bridges the gap between those things. It's like, yeah, you might want Wi-Fi. Yeah, you like these cool Sonos speakers. That's rad. But like, how do we mitigate them, use them at certain times, and how to shut them off, and how again, like I said, how to control them or mitigate them. So the building biologist comes in and he's walking through the whole house, and I'm like fucking blown away at this point, because he's pointing out shit that I never even thought of. You know, there's some shit that I do. That's, for example, like when you go to sleep, obviously sleep is super important for recovery. So you need to turn off all the EMFs as possible. Get rid of electronics. Shouldn't really even have a TV in your room, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but that's okay. You know, you just got to make do with what you got. But he's walking around and he's like measuring shit somehow with fucking sorcery, Harry Potter magic lines and gradients, that like there's like a body of water flowing under his house that he doesn't know about. And, you know, he's measuring like the flicker rate on lights, which I didn't really know about until I've heard of it. You know, I heard like your devices and your iPhone and whatever, they have terrible flicker rates, and there's like conspiracy people out there that say like they're trying to control you. Same thing with cell towers and 5G apocalypse, bruh. You know, and I feel like that some of it's true. there were some rumors that they were trying to control people. They were testing it out. This is very Alex Jones. They're testing on the 5G and worst Alex Jones impersonation ever. I've never tried to do one, but this is my best one right here. They're testing 5G and there's FEMA camps and they're trying to control, and there's human and pig hybrids. I gotta go raspier. Human and pig hybrids. Whatever. I'll work on that. Maybe I'll do it next week. But they're testing out 5G frequencies to control people. Mind control. The government, they're killing babies. So yeah, but there were the rumor or whatever conspiracy theory. They're trying to testing like certain wavelengths, I guess, on cell towers to see if they could control people and calm them during chaos, if that would happen. Apocalypse, zombies, whatever the fuck. Beyonce dies or something. If Beyonce died, everyone would go crazy. And also, no one would go crazy. We would forget in 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm aware of all that shit. He's going through his house. He's like testing all this different shit, like the Vitamix. I'm not even thinking about that. Turning on the Vitamix, whatever. Wait, hold on. Let me go back to the room. So you're supposed to eliminate all the shit from your room, right? But then he's testing outlets and sockets. And there's like an insane amount of dirty electricity coming out of it. And it's not just, so that's like electricity that's not been run well. And he's telling Luke to bring in an electrician and fix that shit because it's like pumping out way more radiation, electromagnetic fields, whatever, than it should. And that's fucking scary because who knows? Like, you're supposed to turn out your breaker in your rooms. I would do it. If I lived on my own, I would turn everything the fuck off all the time. When my roommates leave, I turn everything off. And then they get pissed when they come back and things are off. And I'm like, you guys don't know that you're killing yourselves. And they're like, we don't care. Where's the weed? Now, will they watch this? Don't care. If they watch it, hopefully they subscribe. But yeah, most people aren't aware, like said roommates. But you're supposed to turn off like the breakers and everything in your room and eliminate all of that because by far, sleep is the most important time to recover. And it could, all that stuff is affecting your cells. I guess I should have opened with this, but I'm an idiot. So I guess I should have opened with this. EMFs, unnatural, non-native. There's native, which is normal. The earth emits EMFs like anywhere between, the Schumann resonance is like an average. I think it's like 7 hertz or whatever, but they're anywhere between like 3 and 100 hertz, depending on where you are. In nature, depending on where you are, could be different. But also, we have modified it a lot with buildings and towers and all this shit, big cities. A big city, the radiation that you would measure in a big city is massively different than what it would be if you are in fucking Yosemite or some shit, we're all blissed out, man. But so those are massively different. There's native and non-native. And the non-native is everything that we're creating. The radiation from laptops. Oh, shit. Luke measured like the radiation from laptops that you're putting on your junk and your ovaries and all that, depending on how you identify. And sometimes back and forth. And that's crazy too. Don't ever do that. I put that in my story. Don't ever put your laptop on your lap because that's a nightmare. Unless you want kids. Unless you don't want to have kids. I mean, don't put your laptop on your lap unless you don't want to have kids and you want to get cancer. So like EMFs, all these like non-native forms of EMF that you're getting blasted with it's like millions more radiation than like the earth itself. I think your cell phone is putting out like gigahertz, millions and millions more than just like, being at the beach. The beach has a frequency. The beach has a healing frequency. PMF technology is technically non-native, pulse electromagnetic field therapy, but they can resonate, they can tune them, and depending on what your goal is, they can tune those frequencies as tools. They're like biohacks. It's just technology that is emulating the earth, so, or whatever frequency. But I've healed actually like my ribs and knee by using PMF. There's like pulse centers is a big one. I'm actually pretty tight with some of those people. And then amp coil is another one. So it can be good. It can be a very good thing. Like the native version, some of my favorite things is like if am feeling down, sick, injured, whatever, long-term fasting, like multiple day fasting, and getting to the beach and like sitting out there and just getting rid of everything, getting rid of your phone, journaling, reading, meditating, healing, that is the best thing between fasting. And actually I want to touch on fasting a bit later, but between fasting and getting these healing frequencies, earthing, grounding, it sounds like some hippie shit, but it's real. It is a real thing. So that was a long rant and tangent. I'm not really sure where I'm at right now. I'm hallucinating. I'm sitting on this cold pad because it's hot as shit. How dare you, Mike? I just realized that I didn't light a candle. 4 episodes in. Amateur. If you're listening on audio, this doesn't matter to you at all. And hold on, let me see. I'm gonna light this. I knew there was something wrong. Let me get this too. The essence. Pause for a commercial break from our sponsors. Or a ring. Just kidding. I swear I'm not being paid. Just lighting the incense, guys. Chill the fuck out. Yeah, that was a long tangent, but like I was saying, I was learning all of this stuff by being there at Luke's house. I was there helping him record stuff for his social media, basically like live streams for 7 hours, literally 7 hours. And I learned a ton of shit, there's a clear difference. And I guess long story short, to kind of go back to why I wanted to talk about EMF before I even went to Luke's talk, and then he invited me over for the EMF thing extravaganza. I wanted to talk about it because when I was coming back from the sauna, I realized how profound I feel, how much different I feel when I'm not attached to this technology. Like I said, all day, everything I do, and I'm attached to technology, and I'm like holding it in my hands. The damage that can be done is like, it affects your cells. It's essentially mitochondrial poison. It's letting intercellular calcium, like you heard of like calcification. It can allow calcium into your cells in the mitochondria and affect them. And it's essentially poisonous. It can lead to cancer. What controls your metabolism? Your mitochondria. What is possibly, there's a book called Tripping Over the Truth, and it's all about how your mitochondria and metabolism is basically like the root of all disease. And so that's something you have to really, really consider. And I feel it. Like if there's days where I'm just completely attached to my technology all the time, like my phone is in my hand all the time, I actually feel the tingling. Not just do I feel like a stressful side of it, because like your posture, you ever pay attention to the way that you are standing, sitting, whatever, breathing when you're on your phone, head down, terrible posture, like you don't breathe into your diaphragm, deep into your belly. It's off. That's one thing. But if I hold my phone for like an extended amount of time, you have all of that radiation attached to you at all times and affecting you. And I'll actually start to feel, especially if I have it in one hand for a long time, I'll start to feel a tingle, like weird tingling feelings in my hands. And is that in my head? I don't fucking know, but I feel it. I for sure feel a difference. And so that's the same reason, like if I'm not using my phone and it's in my pocket, dude, if your phone's in your pocket, put that shit on airplane mode. That shit fucking matters a lot. And so I noticed like how much different I feel when I'm away. Same thing, like when I go to the beach, if I feel like I need to heal or repair and I fast and I go to the beach to absorb these native forms of EMF, I feel so different. Like think of how you feel when you just go to the beach, like with your family, when you're growing up and you're exposed to all the sun. It's not just like the EMF that's coming off of the water, the energy of the water and the sand. You're absorbing the sun's energy, and all of that is healing. Light is healing, not just native forms of EMF. Light is healing. Light can be very destroying too. Photoreceptors in your eyes, in your skin, if you think about the stuff that they have, like I think Apple has like night shift. If you have Android, there's I forget what it's called. Nightshade? No. Nightshade's a fucking vegetable, you dummy. There's another one, Twilight it's called. You can change and maybe you can actually see this if you're watching. So like all the day long, I actually keep my cell phone looking like this, and it's more of the yellow. I use the night shift shade, whatever it's called on your phone, all day long, because it's easier on your eyes. The blue light affects you. Artificial blue light is terrible for you, and if you're not paying attention to what's going on with lights, blue light specifically is damaging incredibly with that artificial blue light. You're sending a message to your brain that it is noon all the time. Now, like the yellow, obviously you've heard of like golden hour, and the red, if you're watching on the video pod, if you're not, go and subscribe on YouTube. I've hacked my phone, which is really simple. I'm not trying to sound flashy. Anybody can do this on their phone. So I can triple click because I got an old iPhone. If you got a new one, I think you triple click on the side. Okay, you bougie bitch. So I can triple click and I can reduce the white point, which takes out some of the intensity of the light. But I can also triple click and change the color filter. So check it. Chickadee check it. That changes the color filter. And red light is, I guess, how would you explain it? It doesn't register in your photoreceptors the same way as blue light does. Blue light is producing cortisol, and it's reducing or preventing melatonin from being produced. Melatonin helps you sleep. Light being probably the biggest way that you can regulate your circadian rhythm on top of movement. There's basically three things: movement, telling you're eating anything or drinking anything that's not water sends a message to your liver to start producing enzymes for metabolism, and then also light. Light is probably the biggest one. And like I said, you have photoreceptors in your eyes, and you also have photoreceptors in your skin. So if you're kind of messing with the wrong forms of light, just light in general, blue light, you got light on all day long from the moment you wake up and the moment you go to bed. If that's like anywhere between 12 and 16 hours, it's basically like your body thinks that the sun is out all fucking day, all day long. And so you never give your body a chance to actually produce the right hormones at the right times. It's not just that melatonin gets you to go to sleep faster, more efficient, and gets, better quality sleep. Melatonin is like, aside of glutathione, is probably the biggest antioxidant that your body has, an anti-cancer kind of thing. And it also helps you sleep, which also can prevent illness and cancer. So, light is a big one. And like I was saying about the flicker rate, I knew about the light being damaging. So like I said, I already have my phone hacked. I do the same thing on my computer, unless I'm editing and I need the actual, correct forms of light. I already know about that. But then the building biologist at Luke's house was talking about flicker rate. And I had heard about flicker rate, and it's not a good thing, whatever. But apparently flicker rate, let's start this. The sun does not have a flicker rate. It is a constant form of light energy. And the guy actually, he had this, hold on, let me take a sip of agua. So the building biologist had meters. He had meters to measure everything: the dirty electricity, electromagnetic fields, the light, all that shit. So he had a meter, held out the meter and they all make various noises or whatever, depending on the intensity. So he set the meter out in the sun, and it's just silent as shit. Doesn't say a damn word, doesn't beep, doesn't make anything. And then he would hold it up to a candle, and candle has a very low, it would blip a little bit, but he would actually throw his hand in between the candle, and that would create like noise on the machine, whatever. Hold on one second. So wait, I want to get this out. I gotta turn off my clip because it's gonna end. We're almost at 30 minutes. So hold that thought. All right, we are back. I just went and I went to the little chef's room, took a little potty break, and when I got up, I didn't realize how cold my grundle was. Why would my grundle be? Why would my bits and pieces be cold? Well, I've been sitting on this ice pack because it is heating up in LA. He's on fire. What's up with that NBA Jam? Shout out. I was doing backflips before. Yeah, so I'm sitting on this ice pack and it's like squishy, kind of like if I move too much, it feels like I'm queefing, but that's weird. So I got up and if I was a grower, not a shower before, we know where we're at now. So we're back and what were we talking about? Flicker rate, pretty sure. So flicker rate, yeah. So like essentially, the building biologist was saying that what flicker rate is like the only time we would be exposed to it as like a hunter gatherer type person running around would be if we were like running and either chasing something, we were avoiding predation, or we were going after food, or we were just running because we felt like fucking running. Trying to get that Nike sponsorship, that Nike Neanderthal. That would be the only time that we would be exposed to flicker rate, is because we were like running past shit or running under a canopy and the sun would be coming through the trees and it would create that like flicker feel. And it's allegedly associated with all forms of running. Like when you're running, cortisol is a little bit higher, adrenaline is a little higher, it's sympathetic, it's the fight or flight form. So if you're staring at light all day long, or even briefly, whatever, you could have you could be slightly in more of a sympathetic and fight or flight kind of nervous, stressed scenario, producing higher cortisol, that kind of thing. So if you're, and then your hormones get out of balance. So why would you do that? Like I said, unless you're aware of it, which I'm kind of aware, but sometimes you just get so wrapped up in your phone. Sometimes I'm like, damn, when was the last time I took a breath? Like I'm like, oh, why the fuck am I all of a sudden out of breath and my like belly is tight, right? And I feel stressed and I just gotta like breathe it out, get a good relaxation, change your physiology. It's a real thing. Okay, write that down. So that's the flicker rate thing, kind of like blew my mind. There was a lot of shit that blew my mind, but I don't think I had this realization and I already was aware of it. But I don't think most people are really aware at this. Like people are still thinking about like their diet. People are still thinking about, they're not even on like sleep. Sleep is having this. I talk about sleep a lot because it's affected me so much this year and I've put it first as a priority. But like people aren't even worrying about like the best way to sleep. They don't understand. They don't understand light. Everyone's addicted to their phones and they don't understand the complications, the ill effects that could come from it. And that, all the stuff that I was just talking about, like affecting your mitochondria, that's just the physical. Then on top of that, you have an emotional thing that's going on when you are constantly stressed out, or just like, the dopamine, let's just say like dopaminergic systems are being activated. There's like a lot of, I feel like the hot thing is becoming cliche to be right now and be like, social media is bad because it's activating dopamine. And what's dopamine? You're always searching for something. But that's also true. Cliche things are true, even though they're tired and annoying sometimes. But that is true. You're searching. Think about it. You would be in a stressed out situation if you were out exploring, looking for food, chasing your prey. But you're also stressed out. Like Instagram has something called the Explore page. You are exploring. Not just Instagram or whatever social media. If you want to you want to explore and look for a mate? Tinder. Swipe. Dopamine. Oh, what's next? What's next? Instagram Explore page or Twitter search or your feed in general. The algorithm. We're like wondering what's next. That's how the gravity of that, you just get like sucked into it. And it's hard to fucking get off sometimes. I struggle with it just like everybody else. And that's like really rough, man. Then everything that stems from that. I'm not like obviously I love technology and I'm not like a person that's like fuck technology, but we have to figure out how to curb it. Like I was mentioning before, we live in this time, in this age, and we're not going to fucking go back. It would take like a catastrophic event for us to go backwards. So it's like we have to figure out how to live better in the modern age. I just actually met and worked a couple maybe I can talk about this later, but I met someone who runs a company, and just through an event that I shot a bunch of stills for, shot a bunch of content for, called WITMA, and it's well-being in the modern age. And I think that they're onto something. You know, the whole biohacker world is very much based on technology, and I'm kind of somewhere in between, I guess. Like, I'm always going to choose natural sunlight over, you know, Juve. I'm getting a Juve light for red light therapy, which has a lot of benefits, but it also produces some EMF. So if you can get exposed to sunlight, which not many people can, you're in Alaska, why? First of all, why do you live there? Leave. Oh, tax breaks? Who fucking cares? Make more money somewhere else. Yeah, don't live in Alaska. That's stupid. They got vampires, a bunch of snow and vampires, and no sun for 30 days. That sounds awful. But if you can't, yeah, always choose the sun. Choose the natural remedies. Like, I like the sauna, but if I can, I'm going to run and produce, like, the sauna and running produce a lot of the same benefits, pumping out the same things for your brain. I'm going to always choose to run, even if I fucking don't want to do it. I just get my ass out the door and just survive the first minute. I trick my brain and get out and just do it. That's a lot better. You know, saunas, electric saunas, especially the old school ones that you get at a shitty LA Fitness that I go to. You know, that has EMF attached to it. That's what I'm saying. It's fucking everywhere. EMF is everywhere. And I think we're in this, like, weird place where everyone's just figuring it all out. And we're just like, oh shit. So how do we go backwards? We like technology, industrialization, everything expanded so fast before we even know what the fuck was happening. And now we're like, hey, let's figure out how to dial it back, make things safer, limit our time and exposure. And I think that's, like, the most important thing is, you know, limiting your time and exposure. We're exposed to, like, billions and billions and billions, or hundreds of billions. Not sure. Don't have the real thing in front of me. Don't have the study. Somebody mentioned it once I listened to on a podcast. Okay? We are exposed to billions of more radiation than our ancestors were 100 years ago. And it could only get worse if you really think about it. So it's really important to be aware of these things and figure out how to live better. Better living through science is great, but mitigate it. You know, choose a Oura ring that you can keep in airplane mode over an Apple Watch. You know, some people fucking, like, the sleep trackers and shit. Some people sleep with their phone under their pillow. If you weren't killing yourself already, I would say kill yourself. But you're doing it. You're doing it slowly but surely. And people are like, oh, what's the best diet? I'm going to be vegan this week? I'm going to be carnivore next week? No, you have to figure out, dude, lighting and electronics. Avoid that shit. Wi-Fi. All the stuff that's, like, really affecting your mitochondria. Stressing you the fuck out. What holds on to weight, guys? I'll wait. That's not a joke, actually. What holds on to weight? I'll wait. I'm not even that lame. Stress holds on to weight. Avoid it. And one of them is all this shit. Dude, your phone, the manufacturer says don't hold this up to your head. They tell you. You know, I think a lot of us have heard about technology causing brain cancer. Cell phones can cause brain cancer. They couldn't save Steve Jobs. And that was at karma, because that guy was probably a dick. They couldn't save him. He died of cancer. And that fool probably had, like, 7G back in 1970. And they couldn't change him, or fix him. Share, you know, whatever. What am I? Got something stuck in my duodenum. They couldn't save Steve Jobs. So what do? Let's get some actionable things. I could talk all fucking day about that, but I don't want to, because I want to talk about some other things. What can we do? The first thing is, now that you're a little bit aware, go do more reading. Don't do research, because you're not wearing a lab coat. Go read on the internet. Limit your exposure. Like I said, do the things I've kind of already mentioned. Keep this on airplane mode. You know, if you're not using your Wi-Fi, turn it the fuck off. Plug in. Use the Ethernet. Get that plugged in. If you got the money, if you got that, you make that cruciferous and you got that bag, sir, bring in a building biologist, depending on where you live. Figure that out. See what you can make better. You know, my friend Luke moved, like I said, Luke Storey, Life Stylist Podcast, #follow. I'll put it in. He moved. The whole reason for him moving was because he found what's it called? Not AT&T, not T-Mobile, the other one, Verizon. A Verizon cell tower. Like in his apartment building, basically. I was like on it, pointing at his bedroom. So he moved the fuck out. What a fucking nightmare. He moved for that reason. So you got to limit your exposure. You know, the sleep hacks, like I said, when you go to sleep, flick all the lights on your box. What's the box called? Flick your box. Ladies, flick your box. What's that called? You dumb? You know what I'm talking about. The thing that controls everything. Flick the box off. Turn that shit off. Take all the electronics out. Stop looking at this shit at least an hour before you go to bed. Do some things to make you calm down. I actually really want to do an episode on, I want to do a morning routine, but also a nightly routine episode. That would be pretty dope. And I can go into that stuff, but those are like the basics. Like, get out, limit your exposure to these, get away from them, get out in nature, heal yourself, take walks, be more mindful, reduce your stress, and these being a big thing. Like, I think that's a huge part of it. What else can you do? Magnesium. Take magnesium. I mentioned that all these EMFs are increase the amount of intracellular calcium in your cells. Magnesium's a channel blocker, the calcium channel blocker, you know? Like that. So that's a thing. And just in general, magnesium can control and help your stress levels. So you can take it orally. You can take it orally, or you could take it however you like. You know what I'm saying? But just if you take too much, sometimes you take too much and you poop a lot and poop weirdly the next morning. So be careful with that. Topical magnesium is great. I use Calm and then also like Ease Magnesium. Some of them suck, man. I've had ones that like sting. You put them on and it's like, this may sting a little. It's like, oh, make a better product. Okay. Don't do that. Magnesium salts. The reason you take an Epsom salt bath or float tanks, besides floating, put so much magnesium in there because it makes you so fucking relaxed. Your skin is a mouth. Skin is a mouth. You absorb things through your skin. And magnesium is just the same. So that can help you curb your stress. And then the last one I want to say is like fasting. Fasting, there's many forms of fasting, intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding, but long-term fast. If we have damage from all of this stuff around, the way to get rid of that is to, like I do the first two things I said, but also fasting. Autophagy is a huge buzzword that everybody talks about. It's basically like programmed cell death. When you don't give, what's the easiest way? When you don't give your body calories in the forms of food for energy, your body's going to start switching into it's giving it more time to repair itself, and it's going to need fuel. So how does it get fuel? It starts to eat its own cells, and it's going to eat the ones that are precancerous. It's going to eat the ones that are damaged and senescent, basically hanging around and not doing shit, like a bunch of loiterers, like a bunch of people that are outside of Whole Foods trying to sell you some shit or get you to sign up for, I don't know, some shit you don't care about. Hi, can you sign this? Oh, okay. Where are you going? Come back. Those people ain't doing nothing. Have they ever gotten anyone to sign up for those? Probably not. Senescent cells aren't doing shit. But long term, if you have all these damaged and senescent cells hanging around in your bloodstream or your body, wherever, I'm not a doctor, they can go haywire, and they can turn into cancerous cells. So autophagy, long forms of fasting. A lot of people that I listen to, the sweet spot is honestly like 36 hours. And then, people like Walter Longo, they're Jason Fung, masters of the fast, talk about doing like 3 to 5 extended day fasts. And, those aren't easy in the beginning, but they get easier. And I've done them, and I feel fucking great. And you come back, and you're stronger than ever. You have this, fuck it, I won't go into that. For once, I'm going to curb my tangential thoughts and just stick to this. So fasting is another way to mitigate that damage and reduce stress and come back stronger. And then, what I'll say is, if you don't believe me, or you think this is kind of bullshit, and I do feel that mind over matter is a huge fucking thing, right? But be more mindful. Sometimes it takes for a while, so we get busy, and just like I said with myself, sometimes we get super busy, and then we're not even aware until we're too stressed the fuck out, and then we need to make change. Then we need to backpedal, which is fine. Sometimes there can be some big enlightenment moments there. Enlightenment. I got something sucked in my duodenum. Agua. Make mus better. Make throat better. Sometimes we need those moments to kind of come back and realize it. But being more mindful. So there's a way, when I first started meditating, and I was mentioning this earlier about, there's a clear difference between the way I feel if I'm present, completely mindful and present to the moment, and I'm feeling how I feel when I'm in nature or when I'm attached to this shit. If you've never done anything like that, if you're new to mindfulness, or, what I'm about to say is get to know your body's energy field. You have an energy field. It's in you all the time, and you can feel it. You can be aware of it. And if you're new to it, what I will say is something that helped me a lot in the beginning was something I read in, I think it was The Power Now, Eckhart Tolle. It was either Power Now or New Earth or whatever. If you are new to mindfulness practices and you're trying to just shift your consciousness into a present state, and you want to figure out that, you want to find that energy field that's within your body, close your eyes. This is the best way to do it. Sit down, close your eyes. And Eckhart Tolle says this: if you do that, sit down, close your eyes, hold your hand out in the air, don't touch anything, you hold it and you keep it still without moving your hand and without touching anything, and your eyes are still closed. How would you know that your hand still exists? And it's pretty simple. You should be able to reach, even if you've never done this before, you should be able to reach some form of awareness just by doing this. And you can feel everybody's going to be different. You might be able to just feel your finger tingling in your fingertips. You might feel it in the palms of your hands. I kind of feel like this. I describe it when I'm super present, mindful, deep in a meditation or whatever. I almost feel heavy and light at the same time, and that doesn't make sense to me. But it's hard to really describe full presence. And I think that's you start to feel that the more you switch from a beta state that you walk in around all day into theta, which is deep forms of meditating. But you should get that. You should get some form of it even if this is the first time you're doing it. So that's your body's energy field, and that feeling that you either feel in your fingertips or in your palms, you should be able to eventually follow it throughout your entire body. And follow it from your wrists, and then see if you can feel it in your elbow, and then up to your shoulder, maybe cross to the other side, and then down your legs and up, and feel it in your feet, whatever. You should be able to follow that. You're buzzing with energy all the time. And, a lot of people aren't really aware of it. And when you're calm, it's obviously a different feeling than when you're stressed the fuck out. So it's a lot easier for me because I'm aware of these things and I'm aware of the way my body feels in certain situations. It's a lot easier for me to know when I'm off. And that's why I believe strongly that we need to limit exposure to technology. Oh, what's up with this smudge? Something on my phone. Okay, so yeah, figure out, if you don't believe me, the last thing I'll say is try a test, man. Take 3 days. If you got 3 days, take 3 days. And the first day, do all your normal shit. If you're always on your computer, you're always on your phone, do that and combine it with this mindfulness practice and feel how you feel. Then the next day, try to go through a similar routine in your life, but limit your exposure to these. Limit them. Decrease it. Feel how you feel. Do certain forms of breathing and box breathing and know how your body feels then. And then the third day, I would say get rid of all the technology. Go out in nature and feel what it's like to be in nature, away from the city. Take a day away and do the same practice, and you're going to feel way fucking different. You're going to notice it. Like, everybody knows. I feel like even people that aren't spiritual or whatever just know when energy feels good. You can sense danger. You can sense when things are off. You walk into a room and people are, you ever walk into a room and somebody's just been like fighting and you're like, whoa, what the fuck's weird in here? Like, that's a real thing. And you can start to feel that, within yourself, not just like in an environmental change, but that environmental change will be felt, between your house and the exposure to this stuff and when you get outside. So, damn, I think we're at like 50 minutes already. I've been talking like a crazy person. I want to take a call. I'm going to stop the clip right to make it easier for myself. And then I'm going to come back and we'll go for a little bit, maybe like 10, 15 more minutes. Stay with me. Let me be the one to give you everything love could be. I love that song. That's a good ass song. All right, welcome back. I'm gonna share. Last week I didn't actually get to share any voicemails, but actually my cousin sent me in one. I talked to my cousin. He was like, "Damn, bro, I didn't know you had a podcast." And then he was like, "Damn, bro, I didn't know you had a dope ass podcast like this." And he was like, "Let me subscribe and write an iTunes review." And then he was like, "Let me tell all of my friends." Basically, why are you guys not doing that? Why are you guys not like my cousin? What I'm trying to figure out. My cousin's actually one in a million. Kid's fucking smarter than me. Okay, let's play this. Let me play this voicemail right here. So, like, as always, pretty much week-to-week basis, call in, leave a voicemail. You got a question for me? You want my opinion? It doesn't necessarily have to be about health, fitness, lifestyle, cooking, whatever. It could be those things, but this fucking kid's calling in talking about black holes. So, there's clearly no limitations on this podcast. I like black holes. I'm scared of them, but we're still going to talk about them. So call in 818-839-0973. Leave that voicemail player. And then also you could send a video message. If you want, I want to see your face. Send a video message and be like, "Hey, I'm Timmy from this place sucks in Wisconsin." Send it in. Here's the voicemail. This is my cousin Fritz. Ready?
This is Fritz. Alright, so we gotta talk about...
Great intro.
On the 10th, they released the first ever picture of a fucking black hole. Alright? That they turned Earth, literally, into a fucking megascope.
Don't know what that is.
And we saw 55 million light years away.
There's a lot of light years.
What? What?
It's lit.
Let's put that into some context. I've been to New Jersey a few times.
Dirty Jers.
I've gone a couple 100 miles. And we saw 7,200 million times 55 miles away?
Doesn't make sense.
What? What?
That's actually my exact reaction.
Give me your thoughts, man. Love you. Love the podcast. Keep doing it. Love you. Bye.
Love you too, man. Thanks for calling in. First of all, I forgot to mention my cousin. So weird. Super weird. And also, that was the most Pennsylvania way to sign off, whether he's my cousin or not. Love ya. That's so Pennsylvania. That's something my grandfather always says that. He'd be like, "Love ya." So Pennsylvania. But yeah, thanks for calling in. Black holes. Don't understand it. And you know what? That whole 55 million times 738 things, they're claiming that we saw a black hole or some shit. Don't believe a word these astrophysicists say, because I don't think they know shit. And I feel like they all say that. They're like, we got theories, but until the next theory comes out, then we'll just throw that other shit away. I feel like nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. You know, even Neil deGrasse Tyson, that dude's so fucking smart, and I feel like he still doesn't know anything. That's why I gave up. Like, I used to be super into like talking about this shit, and in a way I am. I'm like, damn, can you imagine? I'm the dude at the party that's like, do you ever look up at the sky kind of shit? And I'm like, fuck the Grand Canyon, like, look up kind of shit. I'm that person, but also just feel dumber. Like, is there anything that makes you dumber than listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about a wormhole? I don't think so. Probably, like, the only thing that would make you dumber is if you were listening to a 21-year-old girl who watched a Carl Sagan documentary try to explain a wormhole in the same exact fashion. You know, that would be ridiculous. And additionally, the only thing that would be worse than that is if it was happening at Coachella. You know, listening to like a 22-year-old girl try to explain something and be like, do you fucking realize what the universe is and how infinite we are? We're all the fucking same. We're stardust. She heard the same shit from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He'd be like, if we are all the same, if we are among the same stardust and we're made of the same particles, then maybe, just maybe, is it possible that vaginas are just a wormhole from another universe? Except the girl would be like, Ace, do you even know, here, you know, fucking wormhole, here, look at this paper. You have a piece of paper? Here, take this. Look, a wormhole is like if you would bend this fucking paper. Oh, wait. Do you have a pen, sir? Wait, sir, do you have a pen? Not you. Fuck you. Do you have a pen? You take the pen and you put it through. She's got glitter in her fucking teeth, and she's wearing like a torn up Forever 21 smock. And you just hear, like, in the back, you can fucking barely hear her talking, and in the background it's just ga-gung, gung, 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 gung. Like Kanye Sunday church playing in the background. And you're like, no, just no. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about because you just watched a Cosmos. You watched one episode of Cosmos. I saw the same fucking documentary. Do you think it's only trending on your Netflix? You know, I don't think any of those, I don't think they really like know what they're talking about. So I kind of gave up because A, I just feel stupid as fuck. And then B, I don't want to be a girl at Coachella, you know, dressed like a lost boy trying to explain particle physics. Yeah. Why'd you, dude, Coachella, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about Coachella. I just like, I'm not like a scene person, I guess. It's not that I would never go, but I'm just like not anything that's like everyone's just, I'm not a bandwagon person. And I don't know, maybe this is my ego. Maybe I'm just trying to figure out, maybe I'm a dick. I could just be a dick. Maybe I'm resisting because it's not like I'm like, I would go, but I'm definitely going to wear, like if I go to Coachella, I'm definitely going to wear a tuxedo or like a straight jacket or something. I feel like that's what you should have to do. Everyone makes it such a scene. Like you look like a homeless person, like Yeezy collabed with the fucked up materials that he found in the back of a Urban Outfitters, you know? It's like everyone looks like a homeless person that just had a come up, but then I got attacked by like a saber-toothed tiger. And then they threw a bandana on around their waist. Like, you're wearing a bandana. Everyone else that wears a bandana should get to bang you. I think that should be the rule. You know? If you're going to be a follower, someone else should be able to follow you with an erection. You know? I just feel like, again, maybe it's my ego. Maybe I'm trying to figure shit out, but I don't be original. Be fucking original. I'm not into shit where all those things like Supreme and Yeezys and Coachella. Oh my God, don't fucking, anyone that hashtags Coachella, cease to exist. Bye. I don't know. Again, I'm just talking shit, and again, I'm an asshole, but it's not my thing. I feel like it's not. I'll definitely go and have a good time, but just the Coachella vibe. I don't know. I think it's like I don't like pretentiousness. I don't like, it's because in a way, even though like so many people go to Coachella, it's got that exclusive and pretentious thing behind it, and I don't vibe with it, man. I think it should just be open and free, not everybody just running around on Molly. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm a fucking idiot. Just be original. I don't care what you do. You're gonna be male one day, female another, that's fine. If you're gonna be keto or carnivore, let's say carnivore, or you want to be vegan the next day, that's fine too. You know, you want to put nut butter on your little bits and pieces and let your dog lick it off, that's also fine with me. But make it be original. You know, spice it up. I talked to a dog the other day and he was like, man, this peanut butter shit is tired. Not even heating it up for me anymore. You know, it's a rough life. I feel like if you're gonna do that, you want your dog to lick off your little grundle. I think you should put make it spicy for him. Give some of that. Make it a little Thai cashew. Fuck that peanut sauce. Make it a little hot spicy. Put that tom yum or that little pescado, salsa de pescado. Make that fish sauce in there. Do something original, okay? And that's my closing statement. Be original. Go to Coachella, but don't do shit because everybody else is doing it. I can't stand that. But again, it's just me. I'm an asshole. Out there, be yourself. Be original. Spread love. After all that negative shit talking, spread love, okay? Spread love, manyokis. That's it. I feel like we're running pretty late. It's like over an hour. So I want to wrap it up. I'm like low energy. I feel like I need to go around. I've been in my house all day and like editing and then trying to get this podcast out. But EMF stuff. What I wanted to say real quick is like backtracking. Let's say my friend Luke. I'll include his stuff. Check out his podcast. It's awesome. He has a great podcast with this guy who talked about EMF, and it might be a little too out there, but I think some of it's true. Luke has a great podcast. He just talked about his ayahuasca journey. Recently he went to Rhythmia in Costa Rica, so that's pretty cool. Check his stuff out. And then let me know like your feedback on all this EMF stuff. Like, how does technology actually make you feel? This is the part of the podcast that I want people to really call in. If you want to call in and talk about black holes, that's fine. But like, also call in and explain your experiences and the shit that I talk about. Tell me how, I don't know, tell you how, not only your opinion on it, but if you like do this, like I said, do this like 3-day breakdown, do these mindfulness practices, figure out how these technologies make you feel and whatnot, come back and like log it all and be like, damn, I never really considered like what technology or how technology makes me feel. I want this to be like a community. So again, call in if you want to be on next week's show. Sorry, I'm like tired. I don't know. I feel like wiped right now, but I'm gonna go run around the block or something, hit that sauna. Call in next week, 818-839-0973. And that's it. Let's wrap it up. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. Real quick, please subscribe. Not only that, out here, comment and like down below. All that stuff helps out so much. But the iTunes review, it would really, really from the bottom of my heart mean a lot to me if you would subscribe, because that helps the podcast out. And it honestly makes like the more, I'm busy and I want to do more of this stuff for my own selfish reasons, but also to help more people and build this community. So the more I see the community growing, the more I'm going to continue to like want to do it. So yeah, that's it for today. Call in. Let's get it poppin'. Love and peace. Monokis. Shep out.
Look, God bless this life that we live in. Although we clearly divided, whole visions go past ceilings.
Hold up. Where do you think you're going? I got a plethora of other podcasts and videos that you could be watching. I mean, what else are you going to do today? Follow your dreams? Watch this video or this video. I'm not wearing any pants. Subscribe.